welcome back to the series that's almost done, I think. It's funny, I had to look through and I had to say, all right, so which teams haven't I done yet? Colorado came up. And, it's one of those things where I've done all the season previews, but I feel like there's still some roster stuff to talk about, which is part of the reason why this series continues, because there's more roster stuff to get into than gets brought up in season previews. Because I didn't want the season previews to be like half an hour long. That's insane. And I did that the first year. First year, they were all like 20, 25 minutes. Just insane. Your audience retention numbers turn out to be kind of low. People just load up the video and go, oh, I don't have that kind of patience. So Colorado is in good shape. Thank you for watching. If you're just browsing your way through, you guys want details. Okay. Left side, I like Landeskog, Jost, Nieto, Calvert, and Gabriel Bork. And Bork, of course, would be the number 5 guy, with Calvert coming in as a free agent from Columbus. The interesting thing is, of course, Jost and Nieto got more ice time than Jost this past year, but I would think that with Tyson getting some more responsibilities, his ice time should go up, and he should be top 6. Now, one spot where I could see this flipping is down the middle. You got McKinnon, Soderberg, Compher, Greer, Toninato, and Hamanev. Now, Hamanev's going to get a shot at cracking this roster, which could be bad news for AJ Greer. Greer's been waiting his turn to get that regular fourth-line spot. The good news for Greer is Hamanev is not a fourth-line center. He's a guy who's better off playing a role that's a little higher in the lineup than that. And with Soderberg, Compher, McKinnon, this means that Hamanev could move to a wing, which could be bad news for Sven Andrighetto. There could be some decisions for Joe Sakic to make this fall regarding who he's keeping and who he's not in this roster, because he's got a good situation as a GM. It's a good headache to have, which is I have too many good players. Who am I going to keep? So, in general, I think Compher as the second-line center makes a lot of sense. I could see Compher as second-line center, Soderberg on the third line. Because the third line of Nieto, Soderberg, and probably Andrighetto could be pretty solid at playing that defensive role, while your skill guys are in the top 6. Because then you got Ronson and Kerfoot, McKinnon, Compher, Landeskog, and Jost as your top 6. But I listed Soderberg ahead of Compher because I can still see Soderberg getting that spot. And then here's Colin Wilson, who is we're still waiting on him having some sort of a breakthrough on some level, and he could end up being vulnerable to a guy like Toninato coming in and taking that job. So we'll see what happens there, but honestly, it's an excellent group of forwards. The question mark could be, can Nathan McKinnon follow up this last season with another amazing season? Was this an amazing season and now he'll have some sort of a fallback? The same question that Taylor Hall is going to have to answer this year as well. Now on the blue line, Nemeth, Barrie, Zadorov, Johnson, that's likely your top 5. Girard and Cole are your 5 and 6. Since joining the team, Girard has been fantastic. I could see Zadorov being dropped down. Cole, I think, stays on that third pairing. The interesting thing is, of course, that bumps Barberio out of the lineup. And last season, when I talked about Colorado, I don't mind Barberio as a player. I felt that he'd be better as a number 7 than as being top 6 regularly. Now, the situation you end up with is that if something happens with either Barrie or Johnson getting hurt, and I use those two as examples because they're the offensive linchpins on the blue line, kind of. Nemeth has that potential as well, though, and so does Girard. But if something happens to just Barrie and Johnson as your veterans in the lineup, Barberio can bounce in, and then Cole can move up. So it's not the end of the world if something happens to your blue line. One thing that all GMs learn eventually is you can't have too many defensemen. Timmins, I've got on the board because he will probably push for a roster spot. Now, I don't know if he gets 9. I don't know if he gets to play till Christmas and gets moved down. I don't know if he plays a whole season on the roster, but he will get his chance. The trick for him is going to be, look at that top 6. He needs somebody to get hurt to get in and prove himself. Now in net, you got Varlamov, Grubauer, and I've got Francouz on the board because they did bring him in. And there was, some talk about when he came in that, this is a guy who maybe they're going to use as their backup when Bernier leaves. And it bothered me at the time, and I thought, it doesn't feel that way. And then they get Grubauer. Now, Grubauer is huge because he can push Varlamov for starts. Bernier kind of did that this year, but Bernier's numbers were below Varlamov's by the end of the year. I don't think Grubauer will be. I've liked Philip Grubauer for a long time. He was the starter for the Capitals going into the playoffs this past spring. Now, of course, he wasn't by the end because, as we all know, the Capitals won the Stanley Cup. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling for anybody who hasn't watched hockey this year. But, yeah, Grubauer is coming off of that experience, and anytime you can add a guy with a cup ring to your dressing room, I think that should help. Especially if, as Grubauer did, he played a large role in Washington finishing first in the regular season. So even if he turns out to be a goaltender that's great in the regular season and falters in the playoffs, you've still got Varlamov as well. And again, it's the Washington goaltending connection, which seems to happen a lot in this league. It's a tough division that they're in. I think that if they were in the Pacific, I think we'd be picking them to probably finish third. Maybe even second. Because it's the Central, it is a wild range of opinion to where they're going to finish. But the one thing that's changed from last year to this year, last year we had Duchesne in this lineup, and we knew Duchesne wanted out, and they probably wanted him out, and guys weren't getting along with him. Landeskog was coming off of a poor season. McKinnon hadn't proven himself yet. The blue line looked like a dog's breakfast. Everything seemed to be a mess. Things have improved tremendously in the last 12 months. And now, how good is it? I think it's pretty solid for Colorado. And the bonus for Colorado is that unlike the last time they made the playoffs before this year, it looks sustainable. It looks like something that they should be able to do for this year and probably the one that follows as well. Meaning 2019 and 2020. I would think that it's not outside the range of possibility that Colorado could make the playoffs 3 years in a row. Can they do anything in the playoffs? Yes. With a line of Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen, if that line got going in a playoff series, and if you've got decent scoring depth below them, solid defense and goaltending, yeah, this team could scare people. Let me know your thoughts. As always, they're welcome in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.